A very warm welcome to each of you, and thank you for taking time out to catch us live. At SixSox, we believe that each one of us has the capability to be a winner. We welcome all of you with open arms as our goal is to serve, learn, share, and reach beyond. In addition, we are here for you with any assistance that you or your organization might need on a group or individual basis. Six Socks classrooms are where we deliver quality to the best of our capabilities. Do reach out to us to know more. Today, we bring to you our second session in the Balance series. With over 40 years of professional experience, including with multinational corporations such as Unilever and Constantia Flexibles, Hariharan is a specialist in strategy, strategic analysis, connected strategy, and operational excellence. A corporate advisor, assessor, and trainer with exceptionally high communication skills, he has advised and assisted organizations to exponentially improve their operational effectiveness. A certified independent director, a Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and an ISO 9001-2015 Lead Auditor, Hariharan is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, United Kingdom. He's going to be speaking on how to communicate with clarity, confidence, and credibility. And when you have a convincing voice like his, it gets a tad bit easier. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our distinguished speaker, Mr. A Hariharan, with his talk titled, To Say or Not to Say.
Thank you very much, Deepa. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whichever part of the world you've joined in from, for another session of SixSox Saturdays. And this session is going to be something different from what you have perhaps been watching in the past. And you might wonder why I say different. As we go ahead for the next 20 minutes, you will perhaps understand why. Before we go any further, I'd like you to do me a small favor. I'd like you to try and stand up for 15 or 20 seconds. So would you please do that for me? All right, thank you very much. You may please be seated. Thank you. Today's subject is to say or not to say. And I had said, would you please try and stand up for 15 or 20 seconds? The word or the phrase, I'll try, is something that is used quite commonly and something that you would have heard, and you perhaps have said it yourself. But what does I'll try suggest? It implies a possibility of failure. You ask somebody for a favor, or you ask somebody for help, and he says, I'll try. And then you need to start thinking of plan B, because there's a strong possibility that he or she is not going to do it for you. So what would you try and say instead? Do or do not. There is no try. And I like to correct myself. Not what would you like to try and say? It is what would you say? I will do it. I will not do it. Many years ago, I came across this picture of a small baby which put its foot in its mouth. And when you look at this picture, you're going to say, oh, how cute. What a beautiful baby. And just see what it's doing, putting its foot in its mouth. Now, when you see the baby, it's cute. But there's an English saying which says, putting your foot in your mouth, which basically means that you say something that you regret later or you feel embarrassed about. As an adult, therefore, you would not like to put your foot in your mouth, would you? As a young sales manager, I was about 22 years old, I had this habit of using the phrase, I mean. And every third, fourth, fifth sentence began with this phrase, I mean. I mean, it's a great day. I mean, the sun is shining nicely. I mean, we've got great sales this month. And we had this boss, a gentleman called D.B. Patel, who was an absolute terror. Standing before him would make you shrivel, would make you shrink into your shoes, and you had no words to say when he spoke to you in a very loud voice, and he gave you merry hell whenever he spoke to you. And one day I was summoned to his office. Now, being summoned to Mr. Patel's office is no small thing. And typically when you walk into his office, you carry your resignation letter in your pocket. So I stood before him with my knees trembling, and he looked at me and says, "Why do you keep on saying, I mean? Why don't you say what you mean?" And I stood there quite stunned as realization dawned on me that what he said actually made a lot of sense. And then he smiled at me and banished me from his office forever. But that's a lesson I learned probably 40 years ago. And I've never forgotten that because I seldom use the phrase "I mean" anymore. Now, I have to start with a disclaimer. I am no professor of English. I don't claim to be an expert in the English language. But over the last many years, during my interaction with people, I've come across several phrases that people use, including myself, which have struck me as a little odd, something that we need to do something about and perhaps correct. So today's session is not a lesson. It's not a classroom. It is purely a sharing of my own experiences that I hope will be of benefit to as many of you who have been kind enough to join our session today. You hear people saying, "I think." When you're asked for an opinion, you say, "I think." But when you say, "I think," you are risking, you're taking a risk of sounding unsure about what you want to say, a little insecure about your message. "I think." Wouldn't you rather say, "I believe, I know, I'm confident"? Doesn't that come across a little more confident, a little more secure, a little more forward-looking, as opposed to "I think"? And then in the work situation, people come and tell you, "That's impossible. There's nothing I can do." Does that ring a bell? Impossible, cannot be done. Basically, what it does is to convey a pessimistic and hopeless outlook. The person is throwing his hands up. However, wouldn't it be nice if you say, "I'll check on it again. Let's discuss what's possible. What I can do is this." So you're putting a proposition forward, saying, "I can do this much." And then leave it to the other person to react and say, "All right, this is acceptable," or "This is not acceptable." And you have something similar where somebody comes up to you and says, "That's very difficult." I've faced this several times during the course of my career. When somebody has come to me, when he's been asked to do something, and he says, "That's very difficult." But the point is that, did I ask you for your opinion? I didn't. I said, "Would you please get this done?" I didn't ask you if it's difficult or not, because your opinion was not important then. It was what was the task at hand and what you need to deliver on. So instead of saying difficult, you could perhaps say, "Let me examine this with a different perspective." A, that's positive. B, it gives you the chance to explore what you can do, and also puts the other person at ease, saying, "All right, this person is going to work hard at it." Not try, he's going to work hard at it. This is again a very common expression that's used. "I may be wrong, but." Why do you put a doubt in somebody's mind? What you're doing is to diminish the impact of what is going to come next. And you're going to be left with creating an impression in somebody else's mind that your credibility is not all that strong. And he's going to say, he is looking for a parachute to get out of this situation. So that if it doesn't work, he'll say, "Yeah, but I warned you. I may be wrong. Why did you ask me to do it?" Instead of that, "I recommend that we do this." There's no "I may be wrong." And when we talk about honesty, often you heard the word or the phrase, "to be honest," or "my honest opinion is," whatever it may be. The fact of the matter is, you are expected to be honest in your work situation or when you're interacting with friends. Is your honesty at question? No, it's not. So you're giving an opinion, you're giving a view. So why do you have to qualify that by saying, to be honest? It is superfluous, plus it is unnecessary. Instead of that, my view is whatever, A, B, C, D, E. We can do this, or we cannot do this, or we can go forward. I have faced this several times. And I would be surprised if some of the people working with me have also experienced this of me, saying, I don't have the time for this right now, or I'm too busy. You knock on your boss's door and he says, I'm too busy. It comes quite naturally and people don't think twice about using this. But what does it convey? It conveys that somebody else or something that you want to get done is not as important as what I am doing or what you're doing. So you feel a little low about it. Have you experienced this before? I'm sure you have. All of us have gone through this. Instead, you could postpone by having a slightly more positive spin on the whole subject by saying, I'll be happy to discuss with you later, after I finish my meeting, or after I finish my call, or after I've gone and met somebody, or after having finished this particular thing that I need to finish very, very urgently. That way, you diminish or minimize the hurt that you might potentially cause in somebody's mind, as well as you're giving the person importance to say, yes, he would like to listen to me, but he will need a little time because he's in the middle of something else. It's not that what I'm asking for is unimportant or that my presence is unimportant. Somebody asks you, how are you feeling? And you very nonchalantly reply, not bad. Or if you're one of those people who wants to be a little negative about it, you say, oh, it could be worse. What he's suggesting is to say, yeah, I'm fine. It could have been worse, but I'm perfectly fine. Or it's not bad. But this has got a very negative connotation to it. So why don't you say it in a more positive way? Which is, I'm well, thank you. And if you're having one of those particularly bad days, when you don't want to talk to somebody, or you feel the world is falling on your head, I'm not having the best day, but I'm sure tomorrow will be better. And what are we suggesting in the process? Today is not the best of days, but that's not the end of the world. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm sure I'm going to come out of this feeling better. And tomorrow is going to be a great day as well. How often have you heard this expression? That's great. And this is something that's caught on. It's gained traction over the last few years that I've been observing this. Oh, that's great. How are you feeling? Great. How's my painting? Oh, it's great. I went on a holiday. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I reached my destination. Oh, great. The word great is a superlative. And everything cannot be a superlative. Everything cannot be great. In which case, there is no black and white grays in between. Because if everything is great, how are you going to really express yourself when you think of something that's absolutely great? Some things that occur to you are fine. Some things are a little better than fine. Some things are wonderful. Some things are truly great. So instead of that, you could say, well done. Or that's very good. Or that was excellent. In fact, this is something that resonates with me a lot because I have this habit, which I need to correct, recalling my experience with Mr. Patel. I have this habit of saying nice for everything. And my wife and I have this constant debate in our house where she says, how am I looking? And I say, nice. How was the dinner tonight? Nice. How was your day? Nice. And she says, can't you think of any other word apart from nice? Is everything just nice? Isn't there something better that you want to say apart from nice? So at the end of today's session, this is one thing I'm going to make a mental marker of and say, don't say nice. Think of something better to say, like good or better, or occasionally I might even say great. You should have done this, or you should have gone there. You should have checked. Now, this is quite harsh. It's an admonishment. It's fault finding, and it inflicts pain on people. It inflicts a feeling of finger pointing. Instead of should, maybe we should remove the word should and replace it with could. You could have done this. It's a much nicer way. It's a more positive way. It's a more encouraging way of getting your message across to somebody else. And he feels a lot better about it. In the future, I would recommend. But we've always done it that way. This again is something that you keep hearing quite often. We've always done it that way. And so what? Is that the only way it can be done? You're stuck in the past, your history, you're going back into the age of dinosaurs, saying, I'm inflexible, I'm close-minded, say what you wish, but we've been doing this for the last 30 years, and that's how it's going to be done. You're closing your mind, and the conversation doesn't go anywhere, and the person you're speaking with is going to be left frustrated. So instead of that, oh, that's an interesting idea. Would that work? Let's discuss the pros and cons. Now, what you're doing in the process is allowing yourself an opportunity to discuss this, allowing the other person to give himself or herself a chance to put it across to you in a much more meaningful way, something that you would understand and change your mind about it without saying it's been done that way always. The fact of the matter is that words have power. What you say, how you say it, reflects on each one of us and also affects the person that we're communicating with. It forms impressions, it forms opinions about us in the minds of other people. Those of you who are here for our previous SixSox session might recall my dear friend Balaji Nagambushan talk about balancing life or finding balance in life. That's about life. Here we're speaking about words, the way we communicate, the way we articulate our thoughts, the way we get across our ideas, the way we convey our feelings to people. Words have enormous amount of power. So what is a good way forward? What I would recommend is that when you want to say something, mentally stop before you react, pause, think, and then speak, because that gives you a chance to reflect on what you're going to say. It's like if you have a bow and arrow. You pull on the bow and fire the arrow. The moment the arrow leaves the bow, it's gone. You can't recall it. Similarly, when we say something, the words are out of our mouth, they've tumbled out, and we can't take them back. And in the process, we might look a little foolish, a little silly. And that's not what we want to communicate with others, do we? So how do we do it? Let's look at the hows. And these are some recommendations from my own personal experience. It has worked for me, and it might perhaps work for you as well. So let me share it with you. The first thing is observe yourself speaking. Think about the phrases that you use very commonly. Think about the expressions that come to your mind immediately. Think about how you react to situations when somebody says something to you, either nice, good, bad, indifferent. What is the reaction that instinctively comes to your mind? Speak to your friends whom you trust or a colleague whom you trust and ask him, hey, is there something that I keep saying which doesn't sound quite nice? Do you think something irritates people when I say things? If so, would you please share that with me? Let me understand, let me learn more, and let me reflect on what I'm saying. How do I become more effective in the way I communicate? Another very effective technique is to listen to other people speaking. If we just focus on what they're saying, we'll be able to pick up those phrases which are superfluous, which convey a slightly different impression, or phrases that are slightly negative in nature, or even those which are very positive and which are very nice that we can learn from. And in the process, we make a conscious effort to eliminate all the negative words and phrases from our vocabulary and end up being much more effective in the way we communicate. When you look at the baby again, the baby can put its foot in its mouth, but we can't. We can't afford to do that because we want to be better speakers. We want to be more effective in what we communicate. And we want to articulate our thoughts very, very clearly so that what people remember is what we said rather than how we said it or how irritating it sounded when we said it. People remember the good words that we used. And that's the impression that we want to leave in people's mind. So it's a question of to say or not to say. And that's going to make a huge difference. Deepa, I'd be happy to answer any questions that there might be.
To be honest, oops, I stand corrected. I'm always honest. That was an insightful session, Mr. Hariharan. We are happy to announce that we will be launching SixSox Community in the coming weeks, our tiny bit to contribute to the society with the support of Mr. Venkat, known as the Pencil Man of U.A.E. With this, we will now incorporate one alternate SixSox Saturday as a SixSox community classroom and hope to have your support throughout. We thank you for having attended this session. Always remember, SixSox Minds is here to serve, learn, share, and reach beyond. We are also here for you and your organization to identify talents and help nurture them. We listen and address your requirement. Do reach out to us on sixsoxminds@gmail.com for this and more. On that note, see you, au revoir, adios, masalama, fir milenge.